It began like a story the world desperately wanted to believe. A young woman stepping into a palace, a future king choosing a bride, and a wedding so grand it captivated hundreds of millions across the globe. On the 29th of July, 1981, Princess Diana married King Charles III at St. Paul's Cathedral in London. She was only 20 years old, he was 32, and to the public it seemed like the perfect union. Beauty, royalty, and destiny intertwined. Yet even at that moment of celebration, the foundations of the marriage were already fragile, because this was never a simple love story. It was, from the very beginning, a relationship shaped by history, expectation, and the quiet presence of another woman, Camilla Parker Bowles. Before Diana entered Charles's life, he had already formed a deep emotional bond with Camilla in the early 1970s. Their relationship was widely understood by historians to be serious, but it did not lead to marriage. At the time, royal expectations surrounding the heir to the throne were rigid. Camilla, who had previous romantic relationships, was not considered a suitable match for a future king. In 1973, she married Andrew Parker Bowles, while Charles continued his naval service and royal duties. Despite this separation, their connection did not fully disappear. By the late 1970s, Charles faced increasing pressure to marry, and Diana Spencer emerged as a fitting candidate. Young, aristocratic, and perceived as embodying the qualities expected of a future princess. Their courtship was brief and formal. Diana later described how little time they actually spent together before the engagement. In February 1981, their engagement was announced, and during a televised interview, a moment revealed the emotional imbalance between them. When asked if they were in love, Diana answered confidently, "Of course," while Charles replied, "Whatever in love means." Though subtle at the time, this exchange would later be seen as an early indication of the disconnect within their relationship. Diana entered the royal family with limited preparation for the intense scrutiny and rigid structure of royal life. Almost immediately, she found herself isolated, navigating expectations that were both public and deeply personal. As the marriage progressed, the emotional strain became increasingly evident. Diana struggled with the pressures of constant media attention and later spoke openly about her mental health challenges, including bulimia. At the same time, Charles maintained a continued friendship with Camilla. By the mid-1980s, evidence suggests that Charles had resumed an intimate relationship with her, a fact that would later be confirmed in biographies and interviews. Diana became aware of this and felt deeply betrayed. The marriage, already strained by incompatibility and pressure, began to unravel further as both partners grew increasingly distant from one another. By the early 1990s, the breakdown of the marriage had become public. In 1992, Prime Minister John Major announced in Parliament that Charles and Diana had separated. That same year, the publication of Andrew Morton's biography, based on Diana's own accounts, revealed intimate details of her struggles, including the emotional toll of the marriage and the presence of Camilla. Public perception shifted dramatically. Diana was increasingly viewed with sympathy, seen as a young woman overwhelmed by circumstances beyond her control, while Charles's reputation suffered. The situation reached a defining moment in 1995 when Diana participated in a televised interview with BBC Panorama. In it, she famously stated, "There were 3 of us in this marriage, so it was a bit crowded." This statement confirmed what had long been suspected and brought unprecedented transparency to the private lives of the royal family. It marked a turning point in how the monarchy was perceived, no longer distant and untouchable, but human, complicated, and vulnerable. The following year, in 1996, Charles and Diana formally divorced after 15 years of marriage. Tragedy followed soon after. On the 31st of August, 1997, Diana died in a car crash in Paris at the age of 36. Her death prompted an extraordinary global response. Millions of people mourned, gathering outside royal residences and across cities worldwide. The scale of public grief was unprecedented and highlighted the profound emotional connection Diana had formed with people around the world. She was remembered not only as a royal figure, but as a humanitarian who had brought attention to issues such as HIV/AIDS awareness and the campaign against landmines. In the years that followed, Charles gradually rebuilt his public role. In 2005, he married Camilla in a civil ceremony, and over time, public attitudes toward their relationship softened, though never without continued debate. When Charles became king in 2022, Camilla was titled Queen Consort, reflecting her official role alongside him. Their long and complex relationship had ultimately come full circle, but it remained forever linked to the earlier chapter involving Diana. The story of Charles, Diana, and Camilla continues to resonate because it reflects deeper tensions between personal desire and public duty. Diana's experience highlighted the challenges of entering an institution bound by tradition and expectation, while Charles's life illustrated the constraints placed upon those born into royal roles. Their marriage, shaped by incompatible expectations and unresolved emotional ties, became one of the most scrutinized relationships in modern history. And even now, decades later, the story leaves us with a question that history has never fully answered. Was Princess Diana a tragic victim of circumstance within a rigid system, or was the outcome an inevitable result of a marriage built on duty rather than mutual understanding?